Hey folks, and welcome to the next instalment of Bob the BX, The Race to Rustival. So last time you'll have seen me tackling the front height corrector on this car. Thing is, I won't know until the fix is done yet, until I've done my next job, which is replacing the fuel pump and the fuel hoses. So I'll just put you guys in the picture. In the week when I got this car up and running, and the day I got my speeding ticket, I went up to see Vanny, Project BX, about buying some parts off him. And while I was up there, I picked out the bits that I wanted. I think it was things like a headlight switch, bumper brackets, a couple of other little bits and bobs. And then as I was going to leave for home, the fuel pump decided it was going to pack up, which is annoying because that pump is only a couple of years old. Yeah, that's genuinely frustrating. However, since then, I have now managed to acquire a new fuel pump, a first line pump. So I'm going to be trying to fit that today. What I'm also going to be doing as well is installing a fuel non-return valve, because when this car is sat for a week or a few days or whatever, all the fuel seems to drain back to the tank, and then the car won't start. It takes loads and loads of cranks before the car will eventually fire. It's one reason why this electric pump was actually really helpful, because it meant that you could just keep the ignition on for a few seconds and then the car should be ready to go. But it's not original, and I would like to return this car to a mechanical pump. Another little thing as well, we noticed when we were putting this fuel pump in, was we inspected the hoses, and not only the old death hose, which is for those of you who don't know, Kitch has done a very good video explaining why to avoid cheap motor factor hose, but basically that was what was on this car. It had already perished. Bear in mind, the car hasn't even seen road action since 2010, I think, and the chap I bought this car off had owned it since 2020. I can't remember if it was him who put the fuel hoses on or the person before him, but one little thing we noticed as well was that whoever did it put the fuel feed and the fuel return hoses on the wrong hard lines. So basically this car was being fed through the fuel return. So that gives me a good opportunity to remedy that. So yeah, hopefully it should be a nice simple job. And annoyingly, after I've done this, I still can't start the car up because the air filter is currently over yonder gluing together. So those of you who aren't particularly inclined, this might be a nice little bit of BX14 lore for you, at least for suitcase engines. This is the old air filter. It's a sponge. It literally just wraps around a plastic frame and it is glued on the side there. And as you can see, it's not particularly dirty, but my good friend, my housemate and best friend, thought, oh, I'll just try and remove it. And he ended up splitting it in half. So what I've done, I saw the opportunity for an upgrade here. Obviously, performance air filters are such a thing. I thought, is there a chance that maybe somebody out there makes the foam to make these filters? Sure enough, I could buy a sheet of it. So I've got a sheet of it currently cable tied whilst gluing onto the original framework over there. I have some K&N filter oil, so I'll impregnate that, so I'll put it in, and in theory it means that I won't come up against this problem again, because I had a little look to see if you could get an original air filter element for this, and MAN did have it on their catalogue. Discontinued 2022. So literally the year I got this car was the year that MAN decided they were going to stop making sponge air filters. In theory, I could start the car up. I don't need an air filter to start the car up. I might risk it for a chocky biscuit actually, because again, I've done the height corrector. I still don't know if the front suspension is behaving itself or not, because I had to, because I took the clamp off the control rod, the rod that runs inside the cabin. Because I took that out, I don't know if that lever is still going to be behaving itself properly on the front axle. So that's that's something I'm going to need to find out. But yeah, I think we should get cracking. I have been doing a little bit more steam cleaning in the meantime. trying to concentrate on things like the subframe and bits of the engine bay. They're a little bit more hidden. It's just little things like that to just make the car look a little bit cleaner, a little bit more presentable. And it's when people open the bonnet and they go, "Ooh, that's clean," and like, I know it is, because this is a very clean car in general. It's not been messed around with too much. I think the only thing which is kind of a miss on this car is that someone at some point has put Mark II rear arches on it. But apart from that, it's a very solid, tidy car. It just needs a thorough going over. But one thing I really want to do, because we're now into February now, the snow is gone, it's now been replaced by rain. I'm hoping that once the nights become a little bit brighter and we get slightly longer days, I would like to take this car out on a shakedown. My unit is just outside of Shrewsbury, in Shropshire. So literally about half an hour, 40 minutes down the road is the Horseshoe Pass. And I'd quite like to take this car down there. And I think that'd be quite a fun little video to take a BX round the Horseshoe Pass. There's some nice views up there as well, so it'd be really, really good fun, I think. But yeah, anyway, I'm stalling. Got to get started on this. So I've been thinking about my plan of attack with this job, because obviously there is still fuel in the petrol tank, and I don't really want that all over my floor if I can help it. More so, well, less so on my clothes. So I think what my plan of attack is going to be is I'm going to install everything engine bay side first. So the fuel filter, the fuel pump, the new fuel hoses going to the carb, and then I think I'm going to start running the return back down there. And in theory, because I've got the feed line, or what was the feed line, or well, what was and wasn't the feed line, if you get what I mean, because someone has plumbed it the wrong way round. Because it's right up here, it's above the level of the tank. So what I should be able to do is, once all this is done on the top side, I can literally just bring the hose down underneath the tank into a jerry can. I've also managed to find a set of vice grips in one of the other cars, so I can stop leakage of fuel, hopefully. So yeah, I'm going to get cracking on. Okay, so this is where we're at in here. Fuel pump is located just up here. This is the electric pump that Vanny sourced for me. Fuel filter, and then there's our little Solex carburetor. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start undoing it from the top end, and we'll see where we go. Let's see, and hopefully I've got the right size fuel hoses for all of this. But that said, I've got, like, we've got some of the silicone stuff which apparently should last at least a lifetime of the car, but we'll just have to wait and see on that one. I wasn't thoroughly convinced, admittedly, when I saw bits of fuel hose inside the fuel filter. It's a bit tight in here at the moment because obviously we've got Bob the BX here, and BXs are not small cars. Furthermore, I've also got Aurora's BMW behind the camera there, and on the other side is my friend Splash's Ford Fiesta. So it is a wee bit crammed up in here, to be fair. It's only a small unit. If I have to get past the camera, expect changes in the camera position after that. Now then. Now I did get 2 different diameters, and we've also got 2 meters of each length. In fact, what would be a sensible idea is if I got the other length of hose. I think that's still in the Peugeot. So I've got 9mm hose and I've got 7mm hose. Hopefully, between those two, I should be able to get this job done quite nicely. So, well, Vanny needs a good cable ties. So my side cutters can't get them. Bloody hell. There you go. And also, as bodges work, this was a really good one, because Vanny's actually fused it from the positive side of the coil, which is really nice. Right, so What size are those going to be? They're going to be 12s, I imagine. They are 12s. And that wasn't done very tight. But this also gives you guys unparalleled access to the glorious suitcase engine that's inside this car. I'm not sure how many suitcase engine BXs there are left in the UK, because it wasn't just a Mark 1 thing. I believe the BX was BX was facelifted in '85 into the Mark 2, and I think they still use suitcase engines up until, I'm tempted to say 80. Because the TU engine, that came out in the AX, I think. And that was 86. So I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure when the transition was. I imagine Kitch will have much more information on that than I will. 2 bolts, nice and easy. We'll go for long just because there's a lot of hoses in the way, so at least I can get in between them. So all being well, this doesn't drop underneath the car. Okay, yeah, so, right. Hey, there we go. One old fuel pump. Yeah, I will just give that area a quick little clean. Right, where's my pumpy pumper? I need my pumpy pumper. Pumpy pumper, pumpy pumper, pumper, pumper. Pumpy pumper, I need my pumpy pumper. There's my pumpy pumper. Yeah, another little thing on the cards for this car is a service. So I think what I'll do is that when this car's done on its shakedown, I will give it a quick service while I'm at it. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep this pump actually because it's quite a helpful little thing to have about. But what I will do, while it's fresh on my mind, I will just disconnect it from this end. Now you can see what I'm doing. So this is how it was connected up. That end was to the feed on the coil, I believe. That went onto the coil. It is a 10, for God's sake. This is the content that people want to watch. Man wrestles with tripod whilst working on Citroen. It's the thing they make documentaries about. Oh, that piece you did on wrestling the tripod. Oh, what a wonderful piece of artistry. What gave you the idea? I don't know. It is a bolt. At least I can reach it. Thankfully, it's not being done ridiculously tight, so I can actually move it with my fingers. Oh no. Oh no, Piglet. It's stuck. Oh. That is off. Oh God. This has given me the fear of bad juju. There we go. I was just worried about it falling underneath the car, and then I'll be not very happy very much. Now then, that's him now. Right. Now I need my snippy snips. Snip. There you go. Question. To RTV or not RTV? Now that is the question. Yeah, so whoever's plumbed this up has put very good hose on for the return and really rubbish hose for the feed. So I could potentially reuse that. It's not got lines on it, it's not cracked or anything, so I think I can reuse that. The only issue I've got is that this is my 7mm hose, which is too slack for the pump. I think I might need to be a bit creative here. Because obviously if it's too loose on the outlets, it ain't going to be good enough. I think I might have to be a bit creative. with how this is all going to go and what hoses I use, because as it turns out, the outlets on the pump and the outlet on the carb are too small for the 7mm hose. So I'm glad I've got some silicone, so if all else fails I could use that. Yeah, I think I may as well talk about the suitcase engine while I'm here. So the suitcase engine was a Peugeot Renault engine, and the thing is that only one Renault actually used it, the Renault 14. Nobody had ever made a pear-shaped car before, and then they came up with that. In fact, that'd be interesting to know, are there any Renault 14s still about in the UK? It was designed, because the thing is that loads of people look at these engines, they see the fact that they're laid flat like this, and they go, "Oh, that's a terrible design. That's a terrible design. It's going to have oil starvation and goodness knows what else." But actually, these were designed from the offset to be at this angle. Gearbox is in sump, like a Mini, with 5 speeds in this particular instance, so 5-speed gearbox inside the sump. And one benefit of having a gearbox in sump means that when you do your oil change, you do your gear oil at the same time. And before Annie Alpine had her engine fire, I was going to do a piece about people forgetting about their gear oil. So this was a potential solution for that, in effect. And that's you were servicing your gearbox at the same time. And then with the TUs, which have an end-on gearbox, and they suffer from differential failure. I don't think that is the case with the suitcase engine, because I think the engine goes before the gearbox does. I'm not going to say it's the best design in the world, but I do appreciate what was done here, because it's all alloy. It's very light as a result, and it is very compact. I mean, you look, the height of the engine barely comes up above the bulkhead here, so it keeps the centre of gravity low. This is probably the most Citroen engine that they could have put in the BX, and yet it wasn't developed by Citroen at all. It was Peugeot and Renault together, and then Renault used it once, and then Peugeot used it in the 104, the 205, the Samba, and of course these, and the Visa, the Citroen Visa used these as well. I've got a friend with a Visa GT, same engine size as this, with 80 horsepower, and that's a great little bit of kit. That's really good fun. I think fuel return, non-return valve, then filter, then carb. I think that's the way to do it. Okay, so I've switched to the mobile phone for this because I've completed the install, and what I've done to eradicate the need for ordering more hose of the smaller size, because the thing is that 7.5 fits well on that one. Oops, sorry, contact warning, blood. Yeah, the fittings for things like the fuel pressure, the fuel non-return, the fuel filter, and so on. It's all basically designed for 7mm stuff. So how do I adapt the 7.5mm hose onto things like the carburetor and the fuel pump? Simple. A little bit of washer tubing. In fact, on the in end, you can see I've got a little bit down there. So basically, it's just packing it out a wee bit. It's flexible, it's soft, it's supple, so it should mean that when I tighten up the hose, there's going to be no air gaps in there. So that was my plan. I've also got new clips all the way along, apart from that one, because I want to annoy somebody at the very least. But new clips on there. As I said, this is the hose on the fuel return, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's in really good shape. So I just cut a little bit off this piece because I think it was excessively long. But again, that still feels good and supple. It doesn't feel particularly aged, that one. So I think that one's all right. We're going to be okay on the return side. It's just the fuel feed side that we need to look at. So I've just done all that. So now the next part of the job is to jump underneath the car. Now everything on the top side is done. It's time for me to clamber underneath and drain the tank out. So I believe that the line that you can see hanging down, that is the fuel feed line. So what I'm going to do is just clamp it off here using the vice grips. I'm not using this hose anymore because this is the old death hose, as previously discussed. There we go. Right. So now go. Oh, the rest of the hard line's coming out now as well. Right. Okay, and hopefully there'll be petrol coming out in a second. And there isn't, which is a good thing. It is, because it means I don't have to sit here trying to drain the tank, so that's all well and good. You just watch as I eat those words. You know what would be a very big brain idea? If I took the death hose off this, ready to go. Wouldn't that be an idea? Why didn't I think of that sooner? Why did I have to wait till I was climbing underneath the car before I came up with that? Brilliant idea. Shmoo on my face already. This is where you're all screaming, get a shorter screwdriver, get a shorter screwdriver. I'm inclined to think that you guys might be right on that one. That is definitely just a flatty, isn't it? Yes, it is. Right. Do I have a short? I am looking at one right now. Bear with us, folks. Yes. Yeah, and again, that hard line looks okay as well. Yeah, that is definitely thinner, isn't it? Okay, I'm not going mental. And the end of the hard line is just above my face, so if I get doused in petrol, it's going to be right there. Don't peel the underseal. The underseal is fine. Don't worry about the underseal. Don't worry about it. Oh, God. Right. Oh. Ow. Shmoo in my eye again. Yes! I've not got doused in petrol. Yay! All is well in my universe right now. Yes! So the next question is, how are we going to get that onto there? I'm not convinced, folks, because I'm looking at this and all I'm thinking is that it doesn't make sense for the return to be in a bigger hose. Flattering view of my double chins or no? Oh, everybody's messaging me now. People like me. Oh, he's online. Good, good, good. But under the BX. Now, sorting the fuel lines. Is the larger one the feed or return? So while I wait for answers from the country's most regarded Citroen B expert, I might have myself a coffee. Gotta say, it is a win. The fuel isn't gushing out on my face at the moment. I'm going to take that. That is definitely a win. Has he responded already? No, he hasn't. Someone else messaging me. Yeah. So, oh, balls. Guess it's time for coffee and a caramel waffle. Caramel waffles. Or stroop waffles, as they're known in the continent. Right, so we've now reached a very exciting stage after confirming with the country's leading Citroen B experts. I have worked out where the fuel hoses go, and long and short of it is, common sense prevailed in the end. They weren't the wrong way round. So I just reattached the return, and I attached on the new fuel feed hose. So now we can try and start the car. So since the last time, I have stuck the battery on charge. Whenever I'm down here, I've got the battery on charge. So what I'm hoping for is that when I start the car, I'm going to put the height onto full. We should see the rear of the car lift up and the struts come down. If not, because the struts have been, you know, in this sort of droop position for goodness knows how long. Hold on. Give consideration for lighting for you guys. But yeah, and then once it's fully extended, then I'll put it the other way. We should see the struts come back in. And then hopefully that means that everything I've done on the height corrector should be right. The air filter still hasn't dried yet, so fingers crossed all should be well. I've actually still got a full tank of LHM, so that's really good. Okay, so bear in mind, I've got new fuel hoses in, so I just need to make sure we are pumping gas. That's good. Are we leaking anything on the floor? No, we're not. So far, we are winning. Right, let's keep her cranking over. So far so good, we've got a nice full fuel filter. Just open the door so I don't gas myself. Right, now I need to raise the car to full height. There we go. Right, that's staying the car on full height. That's really good. Right. So now we should see this come off as we go into normal height. Yes. That's doing as it should. I will just turn the choke in a wee bit. That is quite extremely fast. There we go. Right, so far so good. Still got no fuel leaks anywhere. Very good, very nice. What's also nice is that we've got no LHM leaks as well. So me working out where all those returns went, it seems to have paid off now. Probably do with the top of the LHM now, because I think it's filling up the height corrector now. So I think I'm going to sign off on that one. The car seems to be behaving itself, which is really good. Obviously I won't know for sure until the car is back on its wheels completely, and yeah, and then I should be able to take her out for road tests. I'm quite happy with that. My first time actually rebuilding a height corrector for one of these, and I'm also really glad that my fixes to the fuel system has also worked. I had to do some little things which aren't exactly ideal, like using washer tubing to thicken up some of the outlets and things, but I've got no leaks. It works really well. I mean, in theory, the car should start straight up, because now there's no way for the fuel to run back. Now it's got a non-return valve. In fact, let's put that to the test, shall we? Very good, very nice. When I come down here next, I'll see if I can do some form of shakedown run. It's probably not going to be up the Horseshoe Pass yet, but probably to Shrewsbury or whatever, just go into town, grab some little bits for the unit, and see how we go. And then after that, I'll probably see about doing the oil change, I've got 2 new belts to go on this because the old ones, I don't know how old they are. So I think it's a matter of course, because one of them drives the hydraulics at the end of the day and the other runs the water pump and the alternator. So I think it might be a good idea to change them. But change the belts over, see how that runs okay. I've got other little things I would like to do on this as well. These Mark 1 BXs, the headlight switches are a known weak point. They do like to fail, and in fact I've already been through about 2 or 3 switches on this car, and it's only been on the road for a week. But when it's been off the road and I've been testing the lights, making sure they work, they just burn themselves out. And that's because there's no relay control in them at all. So I think what might be a fun idea would be to make a relay box for the headlights. So that means you're taking the load off the switch, and all the switch is doing is just talking to the relay. I think it's all the current that runs through it wears out the switch. But it's a weird one on these because it's not a micro switch. You'd think it'd be a micro switch, but it isn't. It's like a square peg that goes round on a ratchet, which pushes contacts together. So I think it'd be pretty good fun to put relays. I've got plenty of space in the engine bay to do so. So I think that might be quite fun to do. I just need to find myself some diagrams and then I can get cracking with that. But I think that's where I'm going to leave it tonight, guys, because, well, it's not late, but it would be nice to go home and have some tea. But I'm really pleased. I'm really happy. Hopefully, once the car is on its wheels, I'll know for sure whether the suspension is behaving itself, whether it's settling at the normal ride height, whether it goes down to minimum, whether it goes up to maximum. Just make sure that the control lever is doing what it should, because that was the part that I disconnected. I didn't interfere with anything that was on the anti-roll bar, nothing which controls the height corrector from my anti-roll bar anyway. So yeah, all being well, I should be able to get that sussed. And then once that's all done, so I think that's my plan is going to be, we do road test, we do service, new belts, new oil, new filter, put the air filter on as well. Then after that, see about doing something with the headlights, put a relay box in there so it takes the load off the switch. Then after that, I would like to go through the last little bits of paint on the car. The rear bumper is a new old stock rear bumper that I put on and I painted, so I've still got some bumper paint left, which I could do the front with. And I'd also like to do the satin black on this side of the car, the other side, and the spoiler. That's all done. So yeah, but it is coming together. I should be able to bring this car along to Rustival. Love this thing, and I hope you guys do too. This is many thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, why haven't you? Do it. Do it. Face the boredom like everybody else has to. Thanks for watching. Please comment, subscribe, like, all that jazz. If you can share it with other people, that'd be fantastic. See if I can get my channel up to 1,000 subscribers, because I've only been doing this for 8 years. Yeah, it'd be fun to see where we could go from there. But yeah, anyway, that's it from me. Next time, we'll hopefully be taking Bob the BX out for a little shakedown, and should be much more fun and frivolity ahead. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Toodly Pipski.